I don't think it's a matter of nurses being better than doctors. I believe it's that nurses are just as crucial as doctors, and they're both needed in that relationship regarding medical care and other people. They're a team, they're a unit, and I think what this show does so well is it represents both jobs beautifully, and just focuses on the nurses, which hasn't been done before, and that's why I guess the whole cast has been so grateful to be a part of this project, because we got to bring that to life. We got to really put a scope on the job of being a nurse.
But I mean, ultimately, a nurse is better. Yes, they know that. It's just
I also think there's a certain kind of compassion when it comes to nursing versus doctors. Like doctors are obviously the people in charge, but nurses have to have so much care and compassion for their patients, and they're the people who come into the rooms and make sure everything's okay, and there's like, I think, a different sort of relationship between the nurse versus the doctor, and I think we really showcase that in our show as well.
Absolutely. I think in a lot of previous medical dramas, nurses had kind of almost been considered like something aside, something kind of not really invested in the commitment and care to a patient. And in reality, like Donald and Natasha have commented on, in real life, and as also you've mentioned, they're actually there beside the patient for most of the day. If anything, they're the ones that really get to know the person sitting in that bed. Whereas I feel like doctors almost get to know the diagnosis with that patient more closely. And they're critical, they're so crucial. Doctors are so important. And I think they do have a considerate amount of compassion, but it's from a different angle of the problem solved to save it's more science-based, whereas a nurse is more heart connected, I would say.
You would see like a big like medical like word in the script, and then for me, I would research that, and then it would lead into 4 other different terminologies that you don't learn, or that you don't know the meaning of. So then you end up looking up like 7 different medical terms just to find out what this one thing in the script means. So it gives you like so much depth. So I know we all like really wanted to showcase what nurses do on a day-to-day basis, how hard they work, but also just to like feel that, so like we were actually living those moments as like, nurses, quote unquote, you know what I mean? Imaginary.
Yeah, and I think for me as well, going back to talking about how compassionate nurses have to be, I really didn't realize how like big of a part of the job that is the connections that they make with their patients, and the empathy that has to be there, and just kind of the, like Sandy said, the heart of the job. It's so much more than just medicine and anatomy and everything that they learned in nursing school. It's so much more than that, and it's so much more about connection and forming bonds with their patients and caring for them and looking after them. So that's what I learned too, and I kind of definitely found a newfound respect for nurses and everything more that's involved than just the medical world.
I think something that I learned was that I'm sure this has been touched on, but I think for me that the biggest part of their care is emotional support, and that they can help so much with the physical care of someone by supporting them emotionally. Some people may have fears around treatments, or how to deal with their family, or how to tell their family members, and all these things that they didn't realize that were going to come up for them because they weren't expecting to be in the hospital. And so a lot of a nurse's job is also navigating, helping them, navigate this world of being in the hospital and their families and their diagnosis, and supporting them through that. And I think for me, that was a huge learning curve, because, you think doctors, nurses, hospitals, it's all, medical, but for them, it's so much more, emotional and supportive. And I think that that's a huge part of them being able to get the care that they're supposed to get, because if they're not accepting of it, they're not going to want to help themselves. They're not going to want to try and get better. But if a nurse can be there to support and aid that, then I think people can be so much more, you know, open to wanting to heal themselves.
I think during, you know, the first season and the second season, some, you know, patients don't want the care. So I think we see that as well, you know, as much as the nursing aspect of it is about compassion and having that empathy. We see, you know, we see different dynamics, you know, going in. We see patients that don't want to be there, or, you know, they want to be there, but you know, their family is going against them. And we have some cool, like, you know, storylines for season 2 where it's like just different people coming in and, you know, 5 different people making a decision for one person who's ultimately the one that should be making decision if they should live or if they should, you know, go on to the next life.
And in situations like that, it's like, you know, where their support, or the nurses are their support system. So, okay, maybe they don't want the care that, you know, is being advised by the doctors. And maybe there's this weird pressure by the doctor being, you know, imposed on the nurse. But so then they're kind of the middleman of like, well, they don't want the help, so we're just going to be there for emotional support. And
I think what you guys are also, what it's kind of being talked about is a nurse is really there to confront a patient's fear with them and how scared they are. And like Tiara said, it's navigating that, is allowing, you know, getting to them, getting certain patients to side on the side of hope versus kind of giving up. And a nurse surprisingly has a very strong ability to really connect with a patient on that level and have them not so fearful of the process. It was really well said what Tiara said, pretty much just that in another way. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that, you know, we filmed season 1 before anybody knew that COVID was ever going to be a thing. And so, of course, it was an honor to film a show about nurses because that's never really been done before, and to be able to showcase how hardworking they are. And then we started season 2 pre-COVID and then got shut down after an episode and a half. And we resumed in the middle of everything. And so I think for all of us, there was this like added weight to everything we were doing going back into season 2, you know, with knowing the extent that healthcare workers and frontline workers had gone through for the last, you know, 8 months with COVID. And I think it meant so much more to us to tell this story and to make this show. And so I do think it's the perfect time. And, you know, season 1 was before it, but that doesn't mean that it's not important, because we really get to showcase you know, how hardworking they are and everything that they do behind the scenes that people don't realize, which I think is really important right now.
Tiara's character, Grace's character, they've been doing it in the promo a lot, but it really, like, the people, you know, the folks that casted this show, they really hit home with just every character and the nuances and the ideas and just, you know, all of our personalities and how we are. It's really like similar to the characters that we've been playing the past 2 years. And for Grace, I think she's very passionate. She's caring. She does not take shit from anybody. And she has like a growth mindset. Like, it's not like she knows, like, I know everything. She's like, I'm ready to learn. And that's what a leader is. And that's Grace. But anyone who knows, like, Tiara knows that's who Tiara is. Like, you know, so it's this connection. I'm not trying to kiss your ass, Tiara, but you know, you know, but it's you know, so I think that's for Grace. It's Tiara. No, I'm joking, but no, yeah, that's, I think that would be the, you know, the breakdown for Grace's character, in my opinion. I could be completely wrong.
Thanks, Jordan. So Ashley, I have her task give the spiel on her character so many times now that I feel like I can recite it. back to the very beginning when she was describing her character in our very first chemistry.
I already know what you're gonna say.
So Ashley is the liver. I would describe Ashley as like, you know, soft-boiled egg. She's very tough on the outside, but she's soft on the inside, and that's how she is with her characters and with her patients. You know, she's very much, you know, she can have this rough and tough exterior, this, you know, I take no shit, I'm stronger than I let on, but when it comes to caring for her patients, she shows this like soft vulnerability underneath everything that really shows through in her support and her love and care for the people that are around her. And yeah, that's Ashley.
Well done. couldn't have said it better.
Someone has to do Don Wolf.
Nas's character.
Oh.
Beautifully written character, you know, super intelligent, has like an attachment to the way she looks, but it comes from her past, which is so rich, such a rich past for a character, growing up in a different country and being so glorified in that country. But it's just such a beautiful character, and you see such empathy, especially from the actress who plays Sandy, come through that character, and you learn to fall in love with her intelligence and her fierceness and her love for people, culture, and her hospital and her job. So yeah,
that was better said than I've ever said.
Donald, that was beautiful.
Beautiful. Oh, poetry.
Keon is someone who has talking about a rich past, someone who has an extreme level of commitment to anything he dedicates himself to. And he had a full track on a life towards being a professional athlete. And so right there, you know that Keon is someone who can show up, commit, drive himself to any goal and essentially achieve it. So it's quite a wonder that he's a nurse. And so nursing really, I think, shows another facet to Keon, is that he has an incredibly big heart that I think a lot of people in his environment didn't really consider as important, considering the characteristics of what he can do with his body physically. And so I think Keon for a long time was coming to terms with the fact that like his heart and who he truly is didn't quite align with people's perceptions of who he thought he should be. And he's charming and funny, and
he's got good dance moves.
Yeah, and Keon's really larger than life. He's really larger than life, and really just like brings people in with his energy. What do you think, Jordan?
That's great. Keon, go Keon.
He had leukemia as a kid, and which really, you know, obviously shaped him in what kind of nurse he is, you know, going through what he had to go through at such a young age, and, you know, obviously developing his own relationships with nurses that would care for him. I think he's, you know, searching to show that same love and show that same care to his patients. And so he's the most compassionate, you know, hardworking, I think, person in the hospital, just because I think he has a deeper kind of connection and relationship with nursing than I think any of us can relate to. And he always finds humor in everything that he does, and he's always, you know, uplifting people and putting a smile on people's face. And he's got an amazing heart and soul. And I think we all look to Wolf as a friend. I know he's my best friend in the hospital, my roommate, and, you know, my ride or die. So, but I think I speak on behalf of everybody when I say that Wolf is the special one of the group. Well, we all are, but Wolf, he's, you know.
Blush, Tash, good job.
I
think I'm pretty close to my character.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, now I feel like saying it, but
I know, I'm like, there's similarities.
It's such a complicated question for actors to answer that, because it's like you live with this person and you don't realize that was kind of been within you in some form, you know, and that's why you have such a natural connection to the character. So I think, like, you know, I don't want to speak for all actors, but it's like you don't feel like you're similar to your character. I don't think you're playing.
Yeah.
Like, in some form, like not in, like there's an aspect you tap into when you're acting as a character. I feel that has to be within you, you know, to give it out.
Yeah.
Me and Tash are pretty good at that.
Yeah.
I mean,
we'll be in the makeup trailer. This is gonna sound so bad. We'll be in the makeup trailer. We're like, have you looked at the scene?
Do you want to run it? We'll run it twice.
But I have to say this though, like Sandy comes in ready, locked and loaded, you know,
yeah.
You know, but I'm in the sense of like, you just get a script, like Natasha's very, and I'm sure Tiara as well, but I've seen like Natasha just like get like a thing for sure 12, 13-hour day. And she, I guess, was so busy, she didn't even get a chance to read the script until the night before. But she comes in and she kills it, and you don't even know, you know what I mean? But she's just like, yeah, she's just talented like that.
I would say that we all got really good at drawing blood.
Answer different first season than second season, because I saw Jordan, how locked in he was in focus and in the actions of actually like really caring for a person, and like with all what you just said. I saw Jordan really work hard this season to like master that, especially with the guy who overlooks all the medical procedures. Jordan nailed that. But first season,
I think Jordan's also super prepared. Like he always has his little scissors and his what's it called?
His scissors and his thermometer.
Thermometer always right here. Can't start a scene without them.
RJ was pretty good first season too.
Yeah.
RJ was really good first season. I remember seeing that. Sandy, you're pretty good. I think we're all pretty good, except for me.
Everybody's good, man. Everybody's good. Everybody, like, I think our show has aged really well. So it's incredible to see, like, season 1 being re-released and released now, and after however many, like a year or a year and a half has passed. It's amazing to see the work again, and to really look at the little details of, oh, we did do that, and like we had it. You know, like, I think like season 1, when you're doing it, you're just kind of like in the motion, and you're just kind of, you know, it's like a big blur. And then to see it now, it's like, wow, we really did that. Like, that's good. There was one scene I was watching with Sandy for season 2, and I know we're supposed to be talking about season 1, but season 2, where she had like a bunch of medical things to do. And I felt the same way, because you're doing all this medical stuff, and inside your head as an actor, you're like, I don't know what I'm doing right now, but I'm, you know, but it looks great. So I think we all, like, all of us.
There's a scene coming up in episode 5.
Okay.
I think that we had to rehearse the scene. Making a bed in the hospital is a complete different thing than making a bed
with a patient on it. The 4 of us had to make this bed and change the sheets with a patient laying on it, and that's just a whole other game. Like, the amount of times that we had, like the amount of takes it took for us to actually get this, it was embarrassing. We're like, how many actors does it take to make a bed? Like it was we could not get it. It was hilarious.
I high-fived the patient, like, just naturally, because it took us like 15 takes. I'm like,
guys, we keep talking about this bed scene, but I think it was only like a few seconds on the show. But for us in the day,
I know,
we were like, man,
it took so long.
She's gonna be looking out for now, being like, where?
I'd say probably Sandy.
Sandy, yes, but I think we're all
a minute away from our diploma.
I mean, Sandy, you're the character. I love that I think your character is really awesome, because you're so smart, and I'm seeing that now as I rewatch the trailers and all that stuff. I'm like, wow, like, did she go to Harvard? Like, what's her story? You know what I mean? Like, I didn't take it in
I do have a science background, so that's why I would say I'm the closest.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And because your mom's a nurse, so you grew up, you know, around
And
it. So
Oh, that's what you get.
yeah, and my mother's a nurse, so yeah, I find it was really easy for me to understand that world. And I volunteered in a hospital when I was in high school as a junior volunteer, kind of helping the nurses out for a while.